Hello. I'm sorry, y'all. I one today has been chaotic. Two, I have not felt well all day. I appreciate y'all being patient with me though. Do, 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 do. Okay, how's everyone doing? Ooh, thunderstorms rolling through. Glad you're doing great, Jess. I think we're supposed to get well, it rained today. It was like a baby thunderstorm, but it's now officially hurricane season here. So with that being said, here we are. It's supposed to rain for like the next 2 weeks, which hopefully that'll keep the temperature a little bit lower. But I think we also have a storm coming through in the next hour or so. So also hoping that we don't have an outage. Fingers crossed here. I had to read it because at least it was short. It was short. It was 320 pages when I read it on Hoopla, but it was also there wasn't much text, if that makes any sense. Okay, so yeah, I've had this, I don't know what it is. I think too much screen time. I was telling a coworker of mine that I think the past month, I've spent too much time in front of a screen for work, and it did not help today. I went and worked in a completely different department today to kind of ease my screen, and I have blue light glasses. I just need to figure out where they are, because the blue light glasses really do help with the screen related stuff. Don't be ashamed, Bree Bree. Too many pages for little to happen. Completely agree, Jess. Read a while ago was disappointing. Also, the art I never had great with and great. Yeah, yeah. So, all right, let's start with, because I'm not going to keep y'all long tonight, because honestly, I don't know that there is much to talk about with this one. I, too, was very disappointed with this one, unfortunately. And I'm pretty sure I may have picked this one. I was excited to read it last year, never got a chance to pick it up, thought it might be a good fit. And I could maybe see some teens enjoying it, but I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with 2 stars, to be quite honest with y'all, because I was very underwhelmed by it. Um Brie, honestly, I don't know. It's okay. I think that the premise of it was interesting, right? I think the whole idea of having these separate kingdoms and her having to go to this magical kingdom, I think that idea of it was really intriguing for me, but the issue that I definitely had is clearly there was some magic. There was these magic system elements for this one particular kingdom. And like, do y'all feel like that was, because I didn't feel like that was explored at all. And that's what really aggravated me. Well, I was like, okay, well, this is cool because clearly when people go to the island, right, they have this magic that makes people forget that they've even been there as a means of protection. And I thought that that was very unique, but I feel like we introduced a magic system that was a little bit more complex than what the graphic novel kind of gave it credit for, which I don't know if that even makes much sense. But if you have this magic system where the magic is literally interwoven into the entire community, the entire island, and then you don't really you don't really explore it. I was like, then why talk about it? Like why even delve into that aspect of this community if you're not going to explore it? I also didn't like this whole, you had someone that you were going to like literally marry. You were literally going to marry her. She left you because she wanted to protect you, and you just kind of like leave her out to dry. Like, I don't know. Like, that didn't sit well with me. Like, if she in fact turned out to be um a villain, maybe so, right? But and which I thought was the case, but she was so afraid. She was put in between a rock and a hard place where her hands were tied. She didn't have a choice but to attempt to poison oh girl. And you still kind of like, I don't know. I felt like that plot point too was kind of, it was so convoluted and just not thought out well enough that she's not evil, but she is it was weird because I'm like, there's no way that you are madly in love with this person. You've grown um so many emotions. There's an attachment there. The relationship is built. This woman loved you. She left you to protect you, to save you in your kingdom, and she still got the short end of the stick. And I was like, that's kind of trash. And they never really worked out those issues. They never worked out those issues, which I thought was very strange. Like, how do you not work out those issues between you and that partner? And she literally went to the gallows on your beat. I don't know, man. Like, I'm sorry. I couldn't, like, I was waffling on a 3 stars when I originally finished it. And then I was like, you know what? I can't give it 3 stars because I feel like at the end of the day, there was too many pieces and parts of the book that just did not make sense to me. I feel like we built up all this energy where we had basically a coup, and then you just conveniently kill everybody. Why didn't you conveniently kill everybody before? And then they kill your brother. There's no conversation about like her grief, like how that would have impacted his wife and his child. It was like, it was a mess. I'm sorry. This was for me, this entire thing was a hot mess. And I think, to be quite frank, I'm being generous by giving it 2 stars. Because if I'm being real with myself, I almost feel like it should be 1 star. Um, but there were pieces and parts of it that I do like, and I usually reserve my 1 star ratings for books that like I loathe. Like, I literally just cannot stand. And though I did not like this book, it's not one that I have very, very strong feelings about. I just don't think that anything that this graphic novel sold itself to be was ever truly fulfilled within the context of the story itself. Like, I was just I was not happy with this one. And it was such a quick read. Like, I literally read it in 2 sittings and was like, what was this at the end of the day? Like, what was this? Like, we had so many cool elements and we never addressed her mother's homophobia. That also to me was very striking. Granted, I think that because it is a sapphic graphic novel, I think that that conversation and that relationship between her and her mother should have been explored. Um it should have been explored more, because her mother literally saying, "Oh, you do kind of make a good queen." It was like, okay, yeah, you're giving her credit, but let's talk about your homophobia and why you struggled so much with the fact that your daughter was going to marry another woman. Like, you had some very strong feelings about that, and those feelings were never accurately addressed. And I couldn't stand the fact that her dad kept saying, "Oh, your mom just needs time." What? What do you mean your mom just needs time? Like, that's not how we solve those problems. And her mother already had an issue with her. Like, like when the book opened, her mother had an issue with her. You can see that from their first interaction. She didn't, it was almost like the mother was jealous of the relationship that she had with her father. And that to me read very, that already read weird, because I'm like, okay, you are jealous of the relationship that the two of them have, and there's got to be some better explanation or exploration of this relationship for you to be so negative towards your child prior to her marrying this woman. That to me was like a huge thing. Like, you already have a problem with her, because when she dropped that line and she said, I know that, like, basically, I know your father likes to make you think otherwise, but you're still a child. And I'm like, okay, so what's the problem? Like, what's our problem here? Like, why do you have such an issue with your own child? And why are we not addressing this more? And then it only compounded for me after her mother's reaction to her marrying a woman. And then on top of that, I don't really feel like the father handled that very well, right? Besides the comment of him saying, like, "Oh, your mother just needs to come around to it." Like, outside of that, I also felt like them not disclosing to her that she was gonna marry a woman is part of the problem, right? Then it was weird because there was never any internal monologue about the fact that she felt an attraction towards women and she didn't understand her attraction. If that was the case, I think I would have understood it a little bit better, because when she first meets the queen, she clearly is attracted to her, right? She makes a comment about the fact that she's like, "I've never really been interested in guys." But that's as far as we went. So then, like, her very visceral reaction to finding out that she was, in fact, going to be marrying a woman, and then, like, it never really gets addressed. And then instantaneously, things are fixed and she falls in love, but that fear of her attraction is never addressed. They touched on it a little bit when they were talking about, like, oh, well, we have different cultural um there's our culture basically is different, because that scene in which they're at the ball and she tells her to look around, and there are, like, just different couples, right? Some same sex, some not, like, just a variation of couples. I just feel like we kind of skated across so many topics. And for once, I felt like I was reading, this is the first time I've ever felt this way, reading a queer YA graphic novel. Because a lot of YA graphic novels I've noticed that come out from, like, Harper Alley and like these others, like, imprints now that are starting to produce more graphic novels, they are queer, which I love. A lot of teens are looking for queer graphic novels. They love queer graphic novels. I don't think I've ever read a YA queer graphic novel that I felt like was queer just because it was something to do. That was very awkward for me, because then I was like, so are we, like, we're not really exploring this in the way that I've seen other YA graphic novels explore this, right? Especially for teens who are learning about their own identities. It just felt forced. It didn't feel real. I didn't buy into their romance whatsoever, because it felt like it was forced. It wasn't a marriage of convenience trope that I eventually bought into, because it is a marriage of convenience. It stayed feeling like a marriage of convenience, because I still was checking for old girl, like, okay, but are we gonna address the fact that, like, literally this girl put her life on the line to help you flourish in your kingdom, and we just are kicking her to the curb. I think that part really like grinded my gears, especially when all of it unfolded. And I was like, well, so she really wasn't in the wrong in any part of this, maybe some lack of communication, but she didn't communicate with you because she knew that if she attempted to, you weren't going to make the right decision. And then we never addressed the fact that the queen had planned an invasion, that was her whole entire thing prior to this marriage. She was going to invade their country. And that kind of got brushed over. So at that point, I'm looking at you like, okay, so you weren't completely honest. Your partner left you to protect you, to keep you from making that mistake. You lied to this girl. She marries you. And then all's great and happy. And like, it was weird. It was just weird. And then also, like, I don't think that her anxiety was addressed appropriately either. Let's talk about that because clearly the images in which those like vines and stuff or whatever they were supposed to be that were um constantly around her, attacking her in some ways, I think was a clear representation of her anxiety. And also, I mean, it was clear too that it was clear when she went to go see the priestess, who ends up, of course, being the queen's ex-partner. It was clear that when she went to go see the priestess, that she was having panic attacks and that she suffered from anxiety. Like it was clear in that conversation, but we never talk about it, y'all. We never go past the point that she gave her an elixir to help her calm her anxiety, and that was it. We never, ever, 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 ever go back to talk about her anxiety. The queen also had anxiety because there was that scene where she was having that nightmare, and it was the same type of like vines, hands, whatever, going to attack her. So I'm like, did we just use that? Here's the other issue. I'm finna give this 1 star. I'm sorry, y'all. Because I'm more like it's always interesting, I think, when we have live shows about our picks, that we either usually end up going up or down in regard to a book. It was horrible because I think that when we're talking about her anxiety, it came off as just a catalyst for the priestess to poison her. That's what it felt like because it was a gateway for her to meet this priestess and get this medicine to help her with her anxiety. When her anxiety still isn't under control, she goes back for something stronger, and that was the catalyst for her to be introduced to that poison to set her up to make it look like she was trying to poison the queen. And then we never address it ever again. We never address it ever again. We literally never go back to the fact that the queen and this girl both suffer from anxiety. It was literally mental health used as a plot point to move the book along. And I hate it. I when I tell you, that too drove me up the wall because I'm like, I don't have anxiety, but if I was somebody reading this and I had anxiety, like I would be fucking livid. I would be pissed that you take anxiety and this is how you address it or showcase it or try to talk about it. There was no discussion about it. Then we have all these people die at the end, and no one discusses the impact. No one discusses the impact of the deaths on anybody. The amount of dying that happened within the last 50 to 75-ish pages of this graphic novel was wild. It was unbelievable. It was just killing people for the sake of killing people because I don't feel like her brother needed to die. What was the purpose? We don't address how that's going to impact. It just blew me away because the brother's wife and his daughter are very prevalent throughout the course of the graphic novel, only for when he gets killed, we never think about how that's going to impact them at all. We don't talk about how it's going to impact his wife or his daughter. And I'm like, that's wild for y'all not to even you don't even think to address that. Yeah, he was. It's weird. Like, I agree here, and I completely agree with you. Just like, I don't like that she plays such an interesting role in the beginning, because she's kind of like, I feel like she made the main character feel so comfortable, like throwing a kid in the mix who doesn't really and I get the purpose of it, right? Because kids, especially at that age, like, the political nonsense that all the adults are dealing with, it's not something that is relevant to her. She doesn't understand that. She just sees someone like that's new and is like, hey, like, who are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, it eases the tension between her, like, it eases the tension of her being a part of this new community, getting integrated into their culture. And then we don't go back to see, like, her daddy just literally got killed within a couple of panels. His wife was such an intricate part. We don't even talk about how his death impacted the queen. Excuse me. And then, like, the guard that was the daughter of one of the guys who was helping do the coup, that also threw me off, because she's like, well, I had to do it because that's my dad. And, like, I was my mother's biggest embarrassment, whatever, da 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 da. He gave me this position. It's for him to make up with for everything that has happened, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden at the end, you get shot because she had a moment of enlightenment. I was like, wait, what? Thank you. It was weird. It was so weird, because you literally you took a bullet for this girl after, like, what? And then the time, like, I couldn't really determine how much time was passing between events. It was confusing to me a little bit how time functioned in this world, because what could have happened that Estevan's daughter literally gave you up? She's going through, searching through his office, trying to figure out why why my letters haven't made it to my family, why my family hasn't communicated with me. Like, I need to know what's happening. You go from turning her in to setting this whole entire plan into motion, because you have to remember, Esteban basically was like, we were going to do this differently, but now that she knows, we're speeding this process up. So you were the catalyst that set everything into motion. And you're telling me, in the course of maybe, like, what? Who knows? A few weeks, in the moment when you're about to get shot, she all of a sudden has a change of heart and jumps in front of the bullet? There's no way. There's no freaking way that that even made sense. And then going back to the magic system, when her brother came to rescue her, which I thought was weird, that her brother came to rescue her, never was accosted by pirates. But when her father, who's the king, sends these fleets out, the whole fleet gets decimated by pirates. But her brother seemingly is able to get from their country to where his sister is at to rescue her. Gets on the boat. Hold on, let me plug this in before it dies, because it will die on me with a quickness and not think twice. But you literally get back to your country. He comes back and says, oh, I was on my way to rescue you, and then I was woken up and they told me you're already back. And she's like, well, how come I can remember? And the queen was like, oh, because the magic considers you basically one of us. And I'm like, well, how does the magic consider her one of y'all? Like, you didn't explain anything. We don't even know how this magic system works. How could your magic consider her to be one of y'all? Where in the world how does that work? How does that happen? Never explain. Never explain. It is so convenient. All of it was so convenient to the point that it wasn't even believable. That's how convenient it was so convenient, it was unbelievable. I could not literally believe anything because of how convenient it was. I was just like, this is ridiculous. And to be quite honest with you, like, I am so disappointed in this. And I haven't even talked about the artwork. I think that exactly, what did she do to make the magic choose her? What did she do? When did this happen? She only saw the magic, that like the crystal. She only saw it that one time. What is like what about this magic system defines whether it accepts people into the fold or it doesn't? Like what are the components here? Like what makes this work? Nothing explained. Not, I mean, literally nothing explained. Speaking of things that make no fucking sense, because the whole thing doesn't make sense. What was up with the random pirate who was like, if you could make a deal with me, we're good? What? What? That made no sense either. I was like, they're almost there. Pirate comes on board and is like, you gotta do something good for me, that's worth, as much as your life. Girl, where did you come from? Who are you? Where did you come from? And all of a sudden you talk about you working with Esteban. Who are you? Where have you been this entire time? Where have you been this entire damn book that you come and you ask for a damn blue diamond? Oh, that's good enough. I'll sign off. Girl, what? These people are talking about gaining territory. And you're reneging on that for for a blue diamond? That didn't even make sense to me. That right there didn't add up to me. I said, yeah, okay. I'm not buying that either. I think that's a load of shit. I don't believe that. I don't believe that that's even possible. Like that you randomly come, because then I'm like, so that's why we introduced the blue diamond? That's why you gave her the sword with the blue diamond, because later on the blue diamond was going to be a way for them to deal with a pirate that's never been on page until that moment. I I don't think it's been a while since, I mean, Craven was rough, and I think Craven was just rough. I think because of, for me at least, I think Craven was rough because of the fact that Marvelverse is not a linear type of thing where like it just pulls different pieces from the Marvelverse in order to introduce younger readers to characters. I have not been this through with a graphic novel in a long time. Like this to me was like, it was a waste. I hate to say that, but to me it legitimately feels like a waste, because it was like, what was the purpose? What was that ending? Did anybody understand what that ending was? Because there's no sequel. That they literally took the words out of my mouth. Just like, what? I'm so confused by that. Literally so confused by the ending, because I'm like, I haven't heard about a sequel being announced. There's no sequel on Hoopla. It's been a year, and typically something would have been announced at this time, but I haven't seen anything about a sequel coming out. I was like, this is wild. This is a rough um this is a rough graphic novel. Going back to the artwork, I think the cover is very misleading, right? I think because I'm gonna look at it really quick. I think that the cover for it is definitely much different than what we get with the actual artwork, right? When I see this cover, I love the cover of this. I think that the cover is gorgeous. And I'm on Goodreads right now. I am pissed that as a um they comp this as a mix between Nimona and The Prince and the Dressmaker. They could never. It could never. It could. Two of the most iconic young adult graphic novels. There's no way that you had the audacity to comp this for The Prince and the Dressmaker, which damn near like broke me. And Nimona? No way. No way. No way. Who knows? I don't. Who knows where the marble come from? What is the did I miss that? Did any of y'all see marbles in this book whatsoever? Was there any reference to marbles? Anybody see any reference to marbles whatsoever? Because as when I read through that whole thing, I read through the whole thing, and not once did I see anything in reference to a marble. It ends basically like where they're all like it's the queen, the main character, and the queen's brother's wife. And basically they're all together and they're like, oh, we're gonna get through this together. Well, what does that mean? Literally. There's nothing literally, there's a scene where they're talking about where the pirate comes back and she's like, oh, well, the emperor has heard of you. Did anybody hear anything about an emperor? I didn't even realize, unless I missed something in my read of this, when the pirate came back and she brought up the emperor, I was like, emperor? When did we talk about an emperor? And then the queen was like, oh, well, we're, like we're strong, we're fortified, we had an alliance with your kingdom, we're good to go, and whatever happens, we're gonna get through it together. I was like, so is the emperor pissed? Who's the emperor? Why does this pirate, who we know nothing about, she comes to collect her goods, and she's like, yeah, the emperor has like the whisperings. The emperor knows who you are. Well, who's the emperor? When I tell y'all, I legitimately was like, what a fucking waste. I literally read this and I was like, I could have read something else. And I typically do not get that way about graphic novels and comics, right? Like you literally have to be bottom of the barrel, like bad, for me to get to a point where I'm like, why the fuck did I read that? What was the purpose of me reading this? Clearly I read it because it was our book club pick, but what the hell? What was this? Literally nothing. And for it to not make sense, literally sometimes for a graphic novel that's not good from a writing angle, at least I could be like, well, the artwork was decent, I can't even say that about this. Because the artwork had every brown person looking the same. I mean, literally, that to me is kind of a weakness of an illustrator, right? If every character that you design looks the same and has the same facial features, something is not right. It doesn't matter every single one of these characters seemingly has the same skin tone, right? There's nothing inherently wrong about that. The issue I had is that you literally created a cast of characters that look exactly the same. I couldn't even tell the difference between the two individuals who did the coup. They look the same to me. As a matter of fact, I think when I got to that panel, I was like, oh shit, it's two different people. I don't even think I realized that it was two different people until I got to that point, and I had to flip back and I was like, oh damn, like I've been literally thinking that this one man it's been the same person every time, and it's not. They're two different people. It's like so confusing. that is insane to literally read a graphic novel and look at the artwork and be like, yeah, you created no distinctions between your characters. The exactly I couldn't tell them apart. The only reason why some people look different to me is the hair. But then it was confusing because Esteban's daughter and her damn brother looked the same because the hair was the same length. And I'm like, I literally, and then the queen and Esteban's daughter look the same because the scene in which Esteban's daughter dives in to retrieve her bracelet, right? I thought that that was the queen until later on when it was kind of made clear that like she was the guard who did it, and I was like, oh. Y'all, I we can't take any more L's, man. Like I was hoping that okay, like Craven, not the best. I get it. But to have two back to back and for this for me to feel like it's worse than Craven is I was like, we cannot take any more L's. We can't, y'all. We literally cannot take any more L's. Um with that being said, right? I know that I said 2 stars, but I'm definitely going with 1 star because there was nothing that I enjoyed about this because it was worse than Craven. And I'm pretty sure I didn't even review Craven. I don't even think I marked Craven. I'm gonna go with 1 star. We're reading another queer graphic novel for July. I'm going to keep our live show date in July. Because this one's relatively short. It's a quick read. I've read it before, but I'm gonna reread it because I read it last summer. I'm gonna reread it because it's not long at all. So our next selection or our selection for July is Us. And it's queer. It focuses on a character that is going through gender transition. And I think for this one, I love the color palette. If I'm remembering this correctly. So hopefully going into this next one, we have its higher hopes. And if that does not work, I'm gonna be so upset. But we do have Cat and Gamer coming in August. And then Poison Ivy coming in September. So I'm just saying for me personally, those are two that I'm looking forward to. If I can't do 3 L's in a row. That's why I don't even think I know we have duds in book club, but I don't know if we've ever had duds like back to back like this, which to me is kind of wild. It's wild. Curse Princess Club graphic novels are amazing. I need to catch up. But I love Curse Princess Club graphic novels. I think they're cute, they're charming, and I clung to them in ways that I did not expect. And I think there's 4 volumes out now because I own the first 3. Yeah, I this feels like a first to Jessica. I know that we've had our moments where we're like, actually, you know what? I don't know if I've had any 1 stars in our club yet. I've had 2 stars, 3 stars because I'm like, not the best, but also not the worst. I think this is the first time that we've had a book club pick where I was like, I can't believe like this is what this. I cannot believe that this is what we got. I'm so disappointed in this. Like this was not. Um, this is not what I was hoping for. So It's not what I was hoping for. It's not what I thought. That's disappointing. I don't know. I'm gonna start reading a little bit more of these young adult graphic novels to really truly get a feel for what's out on the market, because I haven't kept up with them as much as I think I should have. Um and I wanna see some trends. I need to better understand the trends in young adult graphic novels. Yeah, I don't even think I gave Clementine 1 star. I'm pretty sure, as a matter of fact, let's check. I'm pretty sure I gave Clementine 2 stars. Somebody pointed something out to me related to Clementine the other day, and I was like, absolutely not. I was like, yeah, no, not for me. Yeah, I gave Clementine 2 stars. That's wild. As much as we like went in on Clementine. Oh, somebody showed me Clementine book 3. That's what it was. Somebody showed me Clementine book 3 at the library. I said, absolutely not. I said, for our book club, we read book 1 and 2, and I did not care for the foolery. I didn't care for the foolery at all. So what purpose would it be for me to pick up book 2? I mean, book 3. For me to be disappointed once again? Absolutely not. I'm not about to, I'm not going to do that to myself. So yeah, y'all. Sorry again. Not we I think collectively did not have the best reading experience, but us should be better. Fingers crossed. I think when I first read Us, let's see. Oh, I may have to type in more. Hold on. Let me get the creators first name. No, that wasn't enough to. There we go. I can't remember which one did I read. No, this is like the single issue. Hold on, y'all. Okay. When I read it, I gave it 4 stars. So hopefully my rating stands on it. Yeah, I liked it. So we'll see if I feel the same. No, is it really? Hold on. I didn't know it was out. I thought it wasn't coming out to November. That's what I thought. Now, hold on. Let me see. Beneath the trees where nobody sees. Oh, issue 1. Issue 1 dropped. I see it now. Oh, shoot. Dang it, Jess. Yeah, the trade is not out, but the first issue came out yesterday. The Rite of Spring? Yeah. Oh, Amazon sent you. Yeah. The first issue came out yesterday. Oh, shoot. Guess what I'll be doing before bed? I'll be reading that. It's only 32 pages. I definitely will be reading that. No, I thought, okay, I must have been looking at the pre-orders for the trade on Instagram. I think that's what I was doing. I was looking at the pre-orders for the trade. I don't know why I didn't realize they were going to release it issue by issue. Okay, maybe I do need to read that as kind of like a pick-me-up. Yeah, it is. It's on Hoopla. I genuinely think like maybe after like being so readily disgusted with this graphic novel, I think that I definitely should read. You're gonna wait? Why are you gonna wait? Are you gonna wait for the trade to come out? I mean, that makes sense to wait for the trade to come out because then you read it issue by issue, and then you feel some type of way when you can't get anything. And I can't remember if they are a weekly or monthly. I don't know if they're a week. Well, if it's July and they're doing pre-orders for a trade that may come out in November, July, August, September, October, they may do I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna release it. I don't know. I may read it issue by issue and then read it again when the trade comes out. I also heard like a new volume of Saga came out. Did you hear that, Jess, at all? But see, Brian and them wait so long to in between volumes of Saga that I feel like I always have to go back and read the volume previous to it. Yeah. Volume 12 of Saga literally just came out not too long ago. And I need to catch up with Something is Killing the Children. But that has, I don't know, y'all know how James works, where he has so many different things going on because now he's up to issue 41. What volume is he on at this point? Oh, I haven't read volume 8, which is what released last year, but I read volume 7. I haven't finished I don't know if I'm going to finish it or if I need to finish it, and I need to look into some people's reviews to see if I need to continue to read House of Slaughter, because House of Slaughter was good until it wasn't. House of Slaughter was good when I think James was, heavily involved in the first volume, and then he outlined for the rest, and you could tell that he outlined and he was not writing. So, because House of Slaughter is all the way up to volume 5. I don't know. Maybe that'll give me something to do. All right, y'all. I'm going to let y'all go so I can go ahead and get in this bed. Hopefully, getting in this bed. It's like this lingering. I don't know if y'all ever had it where it's like you have a headache and it's like throbbing behind your eye. It's not intense pain, but it's this dull pressure that's slightly painful that just won't go away. And that's what I have. And it's behind my left eye. And it just won't. So hopefully if I go to sleep, get some water in me, it will ease up. So we shall see. But thank you all for joining me. I'm so sorry again. Oh, we had 2 nuts in a row. I'm so sorry, y'all. But hopefully next month will be better. Like I said, we are going to meet this month. I'm not going to push it back into August. We're going to catch up, get back on track. So we will have our live show for this on the 30th, which is the last Wednesday of the month, at 8:30. If anything changes, I will let y'all know in the Discord, but go ahead and start reading us, and it should be available on Hoopla. Y'all have a wonderful night, and I will see you in about 3 weeks. Bye.